I'm really glad that I've made it look easy. The point of my video is to make these projects look easy so that you have more confidence to actually start them. As a society, we see them as more skilled, when it's not the case. Women are just as skilled.
Welcome to the Fischer podcast. I am here today with Jasmine. If you don't mind introducing yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Jasmine. I run the Instagram account Oh Abode. I'm a DIY and I guess home renovations content creator.
Amazing. So with your account, tell me about like how it started. Because I noticed that you bought a new home from Taylor Wimpey, and then did it sort of stem from there?
This account definitely did, yeah. I was actually a beauty blogger from like 2011.
Oh, no way.
Way back in the day before Instagram. Actually, no, we had Instagram. We had like 3,000 followers, which was a lot back then. I did it with my sister, and yeah, that kind of died a death as we were at uni and she was abroad and everything. But yeah, when I bought that house, I guess it's 6 years ago now, I just started sharing photos of the house. Mm-hmm. House accounts were a kind of a new thing.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of Taylor Wimpey accounts.
Yeah.
And I kind of joined to see what everyone else was doing with the blank space, with the lack of storage. And yeah, I look back on those photos now and really cringe. They're awful. There was a trend going around recently that was like sharing photos when you first started the account.
Yeah.
I made one and I was like, no, I can't even show it. It's too embarrassing. Just random photos of candles on a shelf, like cool.
I'm definitely guilty of that. It's because I have a Taylor Wimpey home as well.
Yeah.
And I haven't posted for a while, and all of the old photos I'm like, oh no.
When you'd use Instagram's original filters.
Yeah. Yeah, oh God.
So bad.
Yeah, throwback.
Yeah, so when we first moved in, I started just posting random photos like that. And then I think it was the first summer I'd built a decking area in my garden and then did a raised concrete planter, and the people that were following me were like, how did you do that?
Oh, okay.
And I was like, okay, let me see what photos I have. And I kind of posted stories about how I did it and the process and the planning and all the rules around height and distance from things.
So why did you start the account to start with? Was your interest in like interior design?
I think it was just to get ideas, just to see, because I'd only ever seen one show home of my house and the design in that was a bit meh. But I mean, as you'll know, Taylor, they don't account for storage really in the house. So there was a lot of spaces that were just dead space, I guess. So I wanted to bring in different, I guess, elements of other people's houses and just get ideas, basically. I'd seen one owner of I had an Ashton G, I think it was called.
Yes, yeah.
3-story townhouse. I saw one guy had actually knocked down the kitchen wall and made a sort of an open plan entrance.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, oh, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do that one day. So yeah, I was just getting ideas like that. And then obviously I started sharing the stuff that I was doing.
So with the decking and the flower bed thing, was that something that you did?
Yeah.
Yeah. So was that the spark then of like, okay, I'm kind of interested in DIY here?
That was more the spark for the account.
Okay.
Like I've always had an interest in DIY. Even from a young age, I would spend summers with my grandparents and I'd be building stuff with my granddad. Like he does so much like activity type stuff. Like he goes cycling, so we spent a lot of time like repairing bikes and teaching me how to change the tires.
Yeah.
And like clean the chains and everything. He taught me how to scuba dive.
Oh, wow.
He's a paddy scuba diver. He also rock climbs still.
Oh my gosh.
He's an ultimate adrenaline junkie. But yeah, he built loads of stuff in their house. They lived on like quite a slope, so obviously parking down that slope was a bit tricky.
Yeah.
So I remember I was either between the ages of 5 and 8. I remember building like concrete block, hard standing, filling it with rubble, concreting it, tamping it down. Like I remember doing that with him, mixing the concrete and everything. And that was probably my earliest memory of actually doing DIY. And from then I kind of always thought, oh, normal people do this stuff. You don't need a builder. And And then, through school, I did all the DTs.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Textiles.
Yeah.
Wasn't such a fan of the cooking one. And woodworking I did for A-level. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
AS level even.
Oh, so you've always kind of had like that dip into a bit of DIY here and there.
I just like knowing how things work, how things are built.
Yeah.
I actually grew up watching the show How It's Made.
Oh, okay.
I think it was on Discovery Channel or something. My dad would always watch it, and I just found it fascinating. They don't really show many episodes these days, but it is like you'd get to see how like a Bic pen was made and all the process that goes into that. And I was like, that is amazing. And so, that plus my love of Lego. We had so much Lego. I had a little brother as well, and I would always take his things that needed building and I'd build them for him. Like, here you go, you can play with it now. I'm finished.
So would you say like was it like your granddad and your dad that was like a bit more of an inspiration, like that helped like think, oh, okay, this is what I would like to do?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my mum was actually the DIYer in the house as well.
Oh my gosh, there's a family of DIYers.
Yeah,
then.
My dad had all the tools, but my mum was the one that used them. Mm-hmm. So we'd be putting shelves up, like built-in alcove shelves. We'd be painting and decorating. And I think one year we painted my room pink, and I really liked paisleys at the time. So we made a stencil. I just can't remember what it was made out of, but we made a stencil and literally just like mixed up different colour paints to make like some glittery purple or whatever. And then, just like painted all these paisleys around my room.
Oh, that's
and
I
just have loads of different memories of just making things with her and with my granddad and my dad having all the tools. Yeah. So I'm kind of like, I am now owner of all the tools.
Yes, yeah.
All the tools, and actually use them.
Do they sort of do they help like with, because obviously you have is it like, it's not like, sorry, let me start again. It's not an old build, but like a house that you're doing up at the moment.
It's like a renovation.
Yeah, sorry.
So my house was built, I think, in the late 1920s now. So it needs a lot of work. Yeah. We are uncovering more work that needs doing to it every week, it seems. And the garden is just ridiculously long. So there's a lot that needs doing to sort of bring it up to modern standards as well as modern aesthetics, I guess.
So going from like the Taylor Wimpey home, were you like, I want to do a renovation? Was that an easy decision to make? Because obviously with all of your like skills and things like that, is that like, I want to do that?
Yeah, I think because I spent 5 years in the Taylor Wimpey house, making it more usable, I guess, as a home, a lot more storage, a lot more character. I kind of felt, okay, my skills they're getting better now. Let's try an older house. And obviously we hadn't looked at another new build on the same estate as one we wanted to move into. And then we had like 3 failed sales, and they had failed sales, and that fell through. So we found another house, which is the house I live in now. And we literally found it by chance. Like I was looking on Rightmove, I feel like I'd seen everything. And randomly this house came up with just 5 photos of the garden, just random bushes in the garden. And I was like, okay, let's look at the location. I was like, okay, it's literally just down the road. Let's actually read into this. Read the description, it mentioned bifold doors. I was like, oh, they've had an extension. They've had work done. Because all the houses we were looking at before, the older ones, they all needed like a kitchen extension or something. And I wanted bifold doors. Like that's what I want. This house I went to look and I was like, oh my God, this is the one. This is the house. Yeah. Obviously then not knowing how much work actually needed doing. So
were the bifolds like brand new then?
Yeah, so they'd only done it like 5 or 6 years prior. Okay. Like brand new kitchen, air source heat pump they'd added, all new windows, all new radiators. So they'd done like quite a bit of work to it already. 2 new bathrooms as well. Like 2 of the bedrooms were extended. So it was already like a bigger footprint than I thought it would be. So I was like, oh, this is amazing. They actually dropped it in price by like 50k.
Oh my gosh.
As well.
Yeah.
And that was just before Christmas of 22, I think it was. And I was like, oh, amazing,
This is
amazing,
it.
amazing. Please don't sell it to anyone else.
Yeah.
Put in our offer, had it accepted. One of our sales had just fallen through. So we were like, we need to find another sale.
Yeah.
Ended up dropping our price on Boxing Day, because weirdly that's the most popular day to put your house on the market and for people to look at houses. Post-Christmas shopping, I don't know, Boxing Day sales.
Yeah, Boxing Day sales. Yeah.
Even on houses. So yeah, we dropped our price, and I think by the January we'd had quite a few more viewings. And then a couple came to look round, and the agent wasn't available. So I did the viewing. And also I was like, I've done all this.
Yeah.
I've built this and I've built that, and that's new and that's new. And
Were you saying, like, this is included?
Really sold the house. I literally I was going to take all my wall paneling with me.
Oh,
I was going to take all
you?
my light fittings.
Yeah.
Because obviously I'd changed all the basic pendants. And they were like, no, we want it with all of that. And I was like, oh, you've broken my heart, but fine, yes.
Yes, yeah, take it.
You can have it. Please, just take it. And then, yeah, we moved in, I think it was, it was either the June or the November of 23.
Oh, so quite
One of the
recent
two.
then.
Yeah, we've only been there just over a year now. But I got to work straight away. I was knocking down walls.
Yeah, I mean, from going from a new build to a renovation, obviously that's a huge difference. Did you find your DIY projects obviously completely different?
Yes, like...
Was that the fun part though?
It was the fun part because it's very... I feel like DIY is very much... it's very much a learning process. Like you don't go into DIY knowing exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
Even me now, like having so many projects under my belt, like I still go into projects and I'm like, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, for me, that's the fun part.
Yeah.
Because I get to, challenge myself. I get to learn new things. I get to buy new tools. It's both new builds and old builds, I guess, have a lot of work that need doing to them, but in very different ways.
Yeah.
New build obviously needed personalising, storage, and I mean, there were a lot of snags.
Yes.
We had like 30 plus snags. And I mean, one of them was like our front door didn't even lock for a year and a half until they fixed it. And it got to the point where, and they were still building on my estate as well. So it wasn't like,
I mean, with the snags, did you end up doing them
Yeah,
then?
I ended up fixing the majority of them. I mean, a lot of them were just like paint drips, just sloppy painting.
Do you find it difficult for inspiration, or do you find it almost like there's too much out there that you want to do?
There is, so I'm really torn between different interior styles, and it's being able to merge those styles that I'm finding difficult. Like in my old house, it was very, I guess, Scandi modern, clean lines, neutrals, a lot of wood.
Yeah.
And I love that. But I also want to bring in elements like, because it's an older house, I don't want it to look too modern. Like I want to bring coving back in.
Yeah.
And, pretty mouldings around and bring the, I mean, it's very of the house, but my skirting boards are like maybe 6 centimetres tall.
Right.
So I want to replace those for like 20 centimetres tall. I mean, I've got 3 dogs and a toddler, so I need to protect my walls as much as possible. So I kind of want to bring in that country, older
cottage core, or
not quite cottage core for me. I mean, I love cottage core, but not for this house.
Yeah,
I've always just gone for what I want. I mean, I was thinking on the way up here how popular this sort of paneling is, the slab paneling now. I had that 4 years ago in my house, and I don't even think like anyone in the UK really did it then.
Yeah.
I just sort of picked it up from America because I was like, oh, that looks nice.
Yeah.
Collabed with the brand to do my guest room. And then all of a sudden, everyone's doing it. And I was like, oh, yes, I'm on trend. Yeah.
So I suppose you're ahead of it all.
Yeah, I was like, I'm the trendsetter.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I really want to do it in this house, but I don't think it will fit with the vibe.
So I suppose like the house that you're at the moment it's not your like forever home. Like it's
like my 10-year home, I'd say. Like my last one was my 5-year home, and that's a 10-year home. But I mean, it has the potential to be long-term home. I just have big aspirations for myself and really want like a massive house in the country.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Do you think you could ever go to a home though and not do something up, like DIY it up?
I mean, there's always, even going to people's houses sometimes.
Oh, really?
anywhere I go, even I'm like looking around like, okay.
Yeah, you got the eye.
I've got the eye, and yeah, there's always room for improvement. Even the house that I moved out of, that I'd like finished, there was still a lot to do in my mind. Like, I would have changed quite a lot of things. I would have gone back and redone some projects to make them better. There was a lot of wood filler used in a lot of those projects from mistakes. The old saying, do your best and cork the rest.
Right.
So there was a lot of that.
Yeah. With obviously, like you had mentioned about like tiling, and obviously you've mentioned that you do electrics and all this sort of stuff. Where do you even start? Like if it's something that you haven't done before, like how do you teach yourself?
Mostly YouTube.
Okay.
If there's not a YouTube video, someone on Instagram will have done it.
Yeah.
A lot of the projects I start actually is because I've seen someone else do it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that.
And
I'll try that.
Then do you find yourself learning, different ways? And then is that what you then, give to your followers?
Yeah. So when I'm starting a project and I've obviously seen how someone else has done it, if I start it and I'm thinking, that's probably actually not the best way to do it, or I don't actually know how they're doing it, I'll just make it up as I go along.
Oh, do you?
Hope for the best. If I get some things, I film without the intention of posting that, because I'm just filming it for the just in case it turns out okay. And then like from stories, for example, you might not see the whole project
Half of
because I'm figuring it out.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, actually, no, I've got footage of that so I can show it. Like that was a good way. So I use a lot of my projects as obviously like teaching moments to be like, there's not a single one way to do things. And I think that's a lot of the comments I actually get from trades or more experienced DIYers saying, oh, you're not doing it right. I'm like, but it's the same outcome.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like a maths problem. Like I could never explain how I got the answer. I just got the answer.
But as you said, like so many people do it different ways.
Yeah, there's so many different ways of doing it. You don't have to use the same tool. Like there are, different roads to the same destination. I would say it doesn't have to be perfect, just perfect for you. Because then, the amount of comments I see loads of different like interior accounts get saying, oh, that looks horrible. I'm just like, that's not your house though.
Yeah. How you have an amazing amount of followers, and the community that I can see like is incredible. But how do you feel, or what do you do when you have them types of comments? I mean, obviously, I'm assuming you just ignore them, or
mostly ignore them. Sometimes I laugh at them because some are just ridiculous. Instagram's actually quite a nice community.
Yeah,
it's TikTok, because no one likes TikTok.
Really,
TikTok viewers are savage. Like they all go hard. Some of the comments I've had on there, I'm just like, why? Like, how do you have this much time on your hands to leave these comments? But obviously I feel like TikTok's a lot more anonymous, whereas people use Instagram more for like sharing their family photos and holiday photos, whereas TikTok is just more of a consumption platform, I think. So, I mean, in the early days, a lot of the negative comments, I used to then be like, okay, maybe it isn't that good. But I guess it's the ADHD in me. I don't like being told I can't do something.
No, I get that.
And so I will do everything I can to prove that actually I can do it, and it either looks good or looks better than it did before or you'd expect. So now I mostly see the comments as funny, and I really try not to engage with them.
I mean, I've been working at Fischer for like 7 years, and at the very start there was like barely any women in like construction. I mean, there was a few here and there, but it was almost like, I would say in the past 5 years it has just blown up with women in construction, and it is so good to see, like so good. Do you find it difficult when like men tell you to do it this way, or do you sort of take it on and be like, oh, okay, like I will try it? Like how are you finding male and women in the construction industry?
So I think there is,
or DIY, through your social channels.
There is still quite a big gap gender gap, I guess, between men and women in either the DIY or the construction industries. I can't remember this. I think it's either like 1 in 10, maybe. I don't know. There's very, very few women in that space. I feel like online, especially with DIY, there are a lot more female DIY accounts than there are male. And I was actually having a discussion about this the other day, how women label their home accounts as DIY and men will label it something completely different.
Or as a business.
Or as like, you know, either they're like a legitimate tradie or they're saying, you know, Mr. Fix It or Mr. Build It, you know, like very different terminology. And there are very few male accounts who do DIY who are named something DIY. Like Scott DIY is a great example because he actually does like trade level stuff. But obviously he's, apart from an electric course, he is not a tradie. And I think there's a very big difference online, especially between men and women, and the levels of DIY you see, I guess, because there's also like the beginner level DIY, which is, I'd say, is painting, upcycling, paneling, you know, that sort of stuff. And then there's the building and the doing plumbing, electrics, which is obviously more like tradie level, but doing it yourself. And I feel like there's a lot more women in the lower bracket than the higher one. Yeah. Whereas the men's side, very few of them do painting, paneling, the sort of stuff. And you see them more doing the construction stuff. And I don't know whether that's because they can do it, in that that's what they've always done, or whether that's a very gendered thing that why would there be a male account doing that? Yes. Okay. When you see them as more skilled, like inherently as a society, we see them as more skilled. When it's not the case. No. Women are just as skilled.
But it's good though, like as you say, like it's you've just inspired someone else to have a go at this project, or they might see something or have a project that they want to do, and then they see like your content and they're like, oh yeah, you know what, I really should do this, like let's do it.
Yeah. And I mean, a couple of years ago, some of the comments I used to get were just women tagging their husbands.
Oh, no way.
Saying,
I love that.
I love this. Can you do it?
Yeah.
And I'm just like replying like, you've missed the point here.
Yeah.
Do it yourself. You can. Everyone has the capability. It's the time element that people don't have.
Do you still have that support though from men in DIY?
I mean, a lot of the people who regularly comment on my profile, on my posts, and who I get DMs from quite a lot are men.
Oh, nice.
And a lot of them are older generations, I guess, saying, you know, they wish they could have taught their children how to do that or whatever. Some are a bit creepy.
Well, you're always going to have one,
but you're always going to have
that.
And yes, the male side of the comments, there are some really, really like genuinely nice guys that are like, oh my God, like you're amazing for doing this. Like, well done you.
That's good to see.
But not in a patronising way.
Yeah.
Because some can come across quite patronising. But then there are all the troll comments I get, most especially on TikTok, are from men.
Really?
And
but is it more of like, you're not doing it the right way?
Either you're not doing it the right way, or it looks rubbish, or the age-old get back in the kitchen. I'm like, I've renovated that already, thanks.
Oh my God.
Already done that one.
Oh, I love that. I love that comment. From when you started your account and, you know, doing DIY, how has it been over, say, for example, 7 years? Like, how has, like, the difference? Like, I find that the community is a lot closer, with both men and women involved. Yeah. Like, at the very start, it was very male dominating, but now, like, women coming in, and the support that you do see from the men, it's so nice to see.
It is.
Like, do you think it's changed?
I think in a way, yes, and in a way, no.
Okay.
Obviously, with a lot more female accounts coming out, there is a lot more men feeling a bit, you know, this is our space.
Okay.
And a lot of so I've got like a WhatsApp group with loads of influencers, like DIY influencers, and we all sort of share funny comments we get. And yeah, some of them, I feel like, this is what I was going to say before. So in the men, some of the comments I get from men are saying that something I've shared, like whether it's a DIY tutorial or a tip or something, they've commented being like, oh, that's easy. I'm like, well, this is aimed at beginners.
Yeah.
Like it's supposed to be easy. I'm really glad that I've made it look easy.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole, like that's
the point of my video.
Yeah, the point of my video is to make these projects look easy so that you have the more confidence to actually start them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, the last couple of videos I've done have all had at least one comment saying, oh, that's easy. That's obvious. Oh, everyone knows that. Like the tape measure video, for example.
Yeah.
So many people say, oh, I knew that already. I'm like, cool.
Oh, well, I didn't.
There's a lot of people that didn't.
Yeah. Because your sort of social channel is obviously, you know, a bit of like how-tos and obviously the projects that you're working on at home. Where do you plan your content? Like, or do you plan the DIY, or do you just sort of, if there's a project that you're working on, I'm just going to film it and see what happens?
I always try to plan it,
do you?
and it never happens. Like I worked in marketing for, I guess, 10 years on the social media side. And so I know, like, you've got to plan ahead. You know, I was managing calendars, and I had certain posts going out every day and of a certain topic, and making sure each topic was repeated. You know, that's like the proper way to do it. I don't do that. I am so bad at marketing for myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can literally just scroll through my phone. I've got projects and projects and projects and projects and projects.
Yeah.
And then I've also got the idea of, I'll just put them all on my laptop and then I'll sort them into the folders and have folders for each project. Am I going to do that? No, I'm not.
Probably not. It's just going to keep going up and up and up that storage, isn't it?
Because I was like, maybe I'll just hire someone to make the videos for me, but I'll need to have them in folders.
Somewhere, yeah.
Can't do the folders, so I can't hire someone.
As we said, it will happen eventually.
Eventually. There was who was it? I used to watch the Amanda Bynes show growing up.
Oh, yeah.
And one of her skits was like, I'll save that baby eventually. And like, that is me. You'd think I'd like editing, but I do not. Well, I hate it.
When do you do it? As you say, some of them you haven't.
I do it when I literally don't have anything quick to edit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, okay, I'm going to have to edit something. Or if I'm getting DMs saying, can you finally please put up the video of you making this thing? Like my vanity unit, which is like one of my favorite DIYs, one of my proudest DIYs even, I never put up the tutorial.
Oh, no way.
I think I put up like the first part.
Yeah.
And then no other parts. And I keep getting DMs saying, can you please put it up? So I've saved all the videos back to my phone, ready. I haven't done it yet. So I just need to wait for that, like, I don't know, day, I guess, to edit it.
Yeah. So what would you say is your favourite DIY project then?
It's definitely the vanity I did in my last house.
Yeah.
I don't think had I built anything before? I'd done like built-in shelves, I guess, and I did the pantry in my like understairs cupboard that same year. So that was 2022. No, 2021.
Why would you say that's your favourite? Was it because you were just starting?
It was quite ambitious.
Yeah.
And it kind of rescued me in a way. Like I had my son in the September before. And I think I started it in like a couple months after, and I had a really horrible birth. And the time after it was like I had postnatal depression, I had PTSD, I had birth trauma, and I needed a baby that literally would not stop crying. He had like allergies and feeding issues and all this. So I was like very like I needed an escape.
Yeah.
And for me, DIY has always been an escape and just something I can really like hyper focus into. So
was that the first project you did after, or was this the first? Yeah, sorry, was this the first project you did?
I think after he was born.
Yeah.
I think it may have been one of the first ones. And I was just like, you know what? I just need a big project. I need to just dive into it. I need to get it done. And you know, I'll feel better. So I also used pretty much like 90% of the materials I used were just scraps that I had in my shed.
Oh, wow.
Built the whole frame. I actually had to add another stud behind the wall. I had a little crawl space behind the ensuite. So I put in a new stud for stability and built the whole frame out of, I think some of that was new, some of it was stuff I already had. And then, just like cladded it out with like scrap MDF, and then bought some bits for the doors. But I kind of had this, I was inspired, but I can't remember who the account was. I think it was like Claire Moran Designs or something like that. May not even been her. But she had this matte black, slatted, literally exactly like that, bathroom vanity. And I was like, that is beautiful. I want it. So I built it. And all I had was like the vision of what it needs to look like in my head. And the sort of, okay, I'm going to have slots at the side for space for, you know, toilet rolls and rolled up towels. And it's going to have loads of storage inside, big shelves. And it's going to be floating, because I was always told anything that's floating makes it look like it's bigger, like the space is bigger. And literally made it up as I went along. I didn't even have any measurements pre-prepared. I didn't have any, I literally had like maybe how long I wanted it to be and how high, and that's it. Everything else, I was like, I just measured on the spot, when it cut, came back, did it. And I think that kind of immersion into a project where you literally don't know what you're doing, you haven't got it planned, you've not thought anything out, was the best like escape for me at that time. And it turned out amazingly. Like, I made a few mistakes, but I also broke like 4 router bits. It was a compact laminate worktop.
Okay.
And I thought you could cut through it in one pass. And so I just kept snapping like 30-pound bits.
Oh no.
And I was like, why is this happening? Is it the bit? Is it the router? Is it, you know, why is it breaking? And I actually did a little bit of research and found out you're supposed to just, you go in a little bit, and then you go in again, and then you go in again, and then eventually, you know, you get through, and then you can clean it up. I was like, okay, that makes much more sense. So yeah, that was the big mistake with that one. But it looked amazing, and I was so proud of it, because I was like, I did it when I was like, you know, at my darkest, I guess. And it's really bad. I was on I think it was ITV News, really randomly. I don't know why. ITV News East Anglia or something. And the guy came and, you know, showed my workshop, which was my shed. And then we went upstairs and I showed him the ensuite. I just finished all the tiling and stuff I did while I was pregnant, and obviously built the vanity. And he's like, you know, is this your favourite project? I was like, yeah, I literally sit in bed every day and just stare at it with the door open. And I'm like, why have I said that on TV? But it was true. Like, yeah. I would leave the ensuite bathroom door open and I could see it from my bed, and I'd literally just look at it and be like, I built that.
Oh, fair play. I mean, as I said, like it's something that you're so proud of. I mean, the way that you explained of how proud you were that you sit in bed and keep the door open is a bit, okay, but,
bit weird.
But still.
A little bit weird. But I think that's one of my, definitely the proudest so far. There's obviously more to come with this house.
Yeah.
So
is there like a project that you're now really looking forward to and you think is going to be like a big challenge?
So within like a couple months of living in this house, we realised how not poorly designed, but poorly designed the entranceway is. Like, you go in the door, it's like the typical ex-council, like 1920s countryside house. Like, there are hundreds of them that look all exactly the same.
Yeah.
Not on my road, but like I drive around, I'm like, oh, that's the same house as I've got. And I always look for ideas when I drive past. But I want to build a porch.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like toying between, do I timber frame it because that's easy, or do I brick build it? And I'm like, I'm just going to brick build it. I'm going to check regs, you know, see how far do I need planning permission to put a porch on? I don't know. Need to double check. But yeah, it doesn't, from the projects I've already done, so building the concrete planters, for example, like I well overdid the footings for those. I did like 60 centimetre footings for a raised planter. Like I'm pretty sure that's more than you'd use for a house.
Yeah, I think so.
So I'm like, okay, if I've done that, I can do this. And it's, not too dissimilar. And I plan on rendering it anyway, or cladding it, one of the two. So it doesn't need to look good. It just needs to be structurally sound.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could do that. I mean, I've knocked down enough walls.
Yeah.
So I know how they're made.
Yeah.
That's my, like, the big project that I'm looking forward to. I have no idea when I'm going to do it. I also need to double check in terms of like the front elevation, where the lintel's at and whether there is a lintel and how much of that I can knock down.
Yeah.
But you walk into my house and the front door opens covering the next door and the other door's right. You walk in and you're just not even a meter. Two people can't stand in there.
Yeah.
And it's just it's not an entrance.
So you basically want to extend
I just want to pull that out, put a little mudroom bit in there, somewhere to hang the dog leads, somewhere to throw my shoes, and not have to keep walking through the house to the utility where we keep our shoes. Like, I want that out the way because we live in the countryside as well.
Yeah.
The dogs go on long walks through farmland. We need somewhere that's not going to trudge mud trudge mud through the house, because the only ways to the kitchen are through my son's playroom, which obviously we don't want to be caked in mud.
Yeah.
Or through the living room, which obviously has then rugs.
Yeah.
So yeah, the design of the house isn't the greatest. Ideally, I would want a hallway, but I don't want to lose space from the playroom because he has a lot of toys. Like a lot of toys.
Yeah.
And I say that like it's not me buying them. It's me buying them. I mean, ideally, I'd want to like extend the whole of the front out, but we'll see how ambitious I feel at the time, whether I want to.
So that's quite that's obviously a big project.
Yeah.
Is that something in the future? Is obviously I know that you've got a lot of projects going on at the moment. Is that one that you're just really excited for and you think is just going to sort of like step you out of your comfort zone?
I think so. I mean, I keep pushing it. I wanted to do it like as soon as we moved in, but I keep pushing it back because I'm thinking, I mean, money's obviously a big element, but like, do I want to do that yet, or do I want to just concentrate on making the house livable first?
Yeah.
But then that's pushing me back on other projects. Like I was saying to you earlier, like I don't want to redo the flooring in the playroom because I might be knocking that wall down. Like I don't then think, I could just add extra flooring on. Like, it's not that difficult to then add more. But it's just those.
Where do you start?
Yeah, like which do I do that first? Do I do that first? And it's always like a constant battle in my head. Like which one do I do first? Which is the most important room? And all of them need doing. And so each room has had like a little thing done to it. But I think because I've not finished my son's room, I'm now like, I've got to finish that first, like to give myself permission to move on to the next.
Do you have, does it sort of influence you when your social, like your followers sort of say, like, I'd really love to see this type of video? Does that sort of push you then to say like, you know what, I'll just start that project? Or do you just do it at your own time?
Sometimes. Like I do get obviously questions saying, I really want to see this, that and the other done. A lot of the time it's things that I won't be doing.
Oh, okay.
Like I just don't have that plan. So I'm thinking, okay, I don't know. I don't have this video for you and I probably won't have this video for you, but I can find one if I can find a good one.
Oh, okay.
So I do that sometimes if I've seen it done by someone else, or I will sit and watch through some different videos to make sure that actually it turns out well. And I was like, okay, this is a really good video. You can have this one. But like little jobs, like I really want to be able to make even the most basic videos on like how to do painting. I don't know. I can't think of any examples, but I built a workshop. I feel like it was this year. This year's been very long. Yeah. It was probably this year, with every intention of it kind of being like a mini studio where I will have like, like a fake wall and show people how to put up shelves and do like actual basic homeowner DIYs, I guess, and have that as like a series or a course or YouTube. I don't know, I haven't decided. So that was kind of my intention of the workshop, to be able to provide those videos that everyone asks for. And I put up question boxes all the time being like, oh, what do you need? Like, let me answer your questions. And I'll like go through my video.
Do you have quite a lot then come through?
I have, yeah. A lot of them are similar in that everyone's asking for a particular type, or thankfully a lot of them are questions of stuff I've already done. So I'm like, oh, thank God. Don't have to do something new. So I'll just like scroll through the 1,000 and something videos I've already got and pluck it out for them. But I think that's an issue with Instagram in general. Like, you can't search for someone's specific video like you can on YouTube, for example. They really need to change that. But yeah, a lot of the project questions I get, I'm just like, yeah, I'll add it to my list. Like, I'll get there. Or, oh, I've got plans to do that next year. Like, make sure you're following then. Yeah, I stay tuned a lot. Stay tuned.
Well, with the people that are messaging you, obviously, like with the questions, do you find like it's to do with the trend that's going on in that moment? Yeah, because I can see like a lot of it be trends for house 2025, and it's almost like, well, how do I do this? Do you find it's more like that, or is there more home renovation companies that are just like, oh, what do you do with this? I think a lot of what people want to see are very trends led, and everyone in the sort of home DIY space, I guess, is making sure that their content is aligned with whatever's trending. But yeah, there's a lot, obviously, questions about paneling, like all the time. Paneling. It'll go out of fashion eventually. Yeah. But at the moment, it's very in. So I get a lot of questions related to the different types of paneling. And thankfully, I've done every type of paneling that there is, I'm pretty sure. So I'm able to, signpost them to the right video, or, someone's done it. So I can say, oh, this person's done, I don't know, like a double wainscot or something. I can send them that. So I feel like Instagram is very trends led. But then you also see some people doing things completely unique as well, like that really stand out. And I'm just like, oh, that's a really good idea. I wouldn't do it in my house, but it's a really good idea. And, I'll share it and be like, for those that don't want to follow these trends, here's another idea you could do. But I wouldn't say my content is at all like led by anything but my own whim. No, but I think that's what makes your content unique. And as you say, like, you jump from like your how-tos to then, I'm, with the when you were collecting all the leaves, like it just jumps from one thing to another, and then you're putting up like the studio. The workshop that you've put up, and it's so refreshing. And as you say, like, you get this person asking how to do paneling, but then someone's going to be asking about the whole, like, the concrete thing, but you don't recommend 60 centimeters. Yeah, definitely. Do you, with just going on like the trends subject, what would you love to see? Like, where do you see it going for 2025?
I feel like trends really just recycle. Like, if it wasn't on trend last year, it will be at some point. Yeah. But I feel like paneling is here to stay, for sure. I'm loving the colour drenching. And I really want to do it in my lounge. Yeah. But I also, as I was saying, like, I really like the neutral, but also like traditional looks. I'm like, how will that translate? And what else? I feel like boucle. Yeah. It was big a few years ago, and it's still big now, and I'm here for it. Okay. I love boucle. I actually bought like this massive roll of boucle material with a plan to upcycle something. Never happened. Oh. But I was looking at a stool that's like a little footstool that's in my son's room yesterday. I was like, I'm just going to get that fabric out. I'm just going to do it. I don't know where it is.
Oh.
I think it's in the loft somewhere. But I was like, yeah, that'll be a quick 20-minute project to, get my dopamine flowing.
Your list must be so long with the things that you want to do.
I actually made a list once and I think I've ticked one thing off.
Okay. With trends, it seems to be as well, there's eco-friendly ways of doing things, and have you incorporated that into any projects, or how do you feel about the eco part?
So I'm quite sustainable with my DIYs anyway. I'm always trying to use as much scrap wood as I can.
Okay.
I will literally raid the B&Q scrap pile and see what's in there, and people's offcuts. But I've got a huge stash of wood that I've either offcuts or just random scraps I've picked up that I want to use and incorporate into the projects, and I will literally make up a project if I see some wood. I had for my workshop, there were loads of little battens that were separating the different layers of wood when it came in the pallets. And they were just taking up space in my shed, and I was like, I'm going to make something out of these.
Yeah.
I made a cover for my air source heat pump out of them.
Oh.
And I was like, boom, done.
Yeah.
That's them out of the way, used, didn't have to throw them away, didn't have to do anything with it. I made something out of that. And obviously with the vanity as well, that was 90% scraps. But I think in terms of actual eco-friendly products, I really want to see more cork brought in. There are companies out there, I think Recork is one of them. They do lovely cork flooring. And there's also a company, might be the same one, that do wood effect cork, almost like an LVT, it's got a wood effect cover, but it's made of cork. Right. And it's, it's water repellent. It's really sustainable and really soft underfoot as well. And I don't know why more people aren't using it. Mm-hmm. Similarly with bamboo as well, they actually do bamboo, herringbone flooring, for example.
Oh, wow.
My sister was going to get some for her house.
Oh, I didn't realise. That's quite cool.
And they come in all sort of different colours, and you can really see the natural fibres in them. Mm-hmm. And obviously that's a source that's really, really sustainable. That grows hellfire. That will regrow itself in a couple months. So that it's not a forest being chopped down. Mm-hmm. But there's not enough people shouting about these products to be able to get them into the mainstream.
But then does that make you feel like you should advertise that?
Yeah.
It's not saying the pressure, but where you think of this would be this would be pretty cool. Do you think then, with how that you're going at the moment, it seems that 5 years down the line, then it might be a bit of more of a trend.
Yeah.
So do you find you have to, shout about it more? Because obviously with your following.
Yeah, there is a little bit of pressure there for sure. Especially if I see a product and I'm like, oh my God, that's a genius idea.
Yeah.
With, I don't know how eco it is, but I don't know whether you've heard of them, skirting heating.
No.
Thermoskirt. They're on Dragon's Den at some point, but it's literally having your radiators in your skirting board. And it was a big thing in the 80s, but they weren't nice in the 80s.
Yeah.
Now they literally look like skirting boards, proper, slab with the moulding at the top.
Oh, that's cool. That's a good idea.
But it cuts down your heating bills. It runs at a lower temperature. So again, cost saving.
Yeah.
Warms your room up quicker because it's heating all the room rather than one fixed point. And it's obviously floor level, so it just does it all at once. But that kind of was something that I came across and was that's a really good idea. Well, especially in my house where we've got the air source heat pump and the radiator's massive, take up an entire wall. I'd initially thought, okay, I'll just put in a column radiator and then move that vertically out the way. But then I came across these radiator skirtings and I was like, that will free up so much space, especially in my son's room and my son's playroom where, the wall space is space for him to, have a little whiteboard or have his things up against. There needs to be more wall space, essentially. So I was like, right, I'm going to do that. And I've kind of made it my mission to get that in the house and share it as much as possible because I know that other people will find it interesting too. Because other people will have the same pain point. There isn't enough wall space.
I mean, I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, they also do an electric version where rather than obviously plumbing it into your heating pipes, you're wiring it in. And that's really good in like summer houses, for example, or workshops. So obviously heating the space quicker, more efficiently, work really well with air source heat pumps and solar panels and everything. So I'm just like, get this, a bit more mainstream.
Yeah.
I mean, we had solar panels installed. Again, it might have been that this year's been so long that it feels like last year, but I think it was this year. Or was it last year? I don't know. We had solar panels installed because I was like, if I'm going to be, making all these changes to this house, and I talk a lot about sustainability. Like when my son was born, I put him in reusable nappies. My sister owns a zero waste shop. Like it's very much in my family and in my life to be as eco-friendly as possible within reason. So adding, obviously we already had the air source heat pump that the previous owners put in, but I was like, why don't we have solar panels?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's, one big thing that I can obviously share that's happening. I can share how it's making our lives better and cheaper and everything. I mean, my electricity bill over summer was like not just electricity and gas was like 20 quid a month. And hasn't really gone up much because we've got batteries, we've got the pump when it works, because it's broken at the moment, not that it's rubbish. It's just the savings is phenomenal, and especially in this sort of financial crisis, let's call it, we're all kind of looking for ways to save money and also not, eat off of our earth, basically. So
I mean, they're a big expenditure to start off with.
Yeah,
like, don't get me wrong.
Outlay.
Yeah, but as you say, like long term, when they're that much amount during the like 20 quid, like in the summer.
Yeah,
like,
for a large 4-bedroom house as well.
Yeah,
an old build that's got, apart from the extra insulation I put in, like not insulated.
It's not.
It's pretty good going. So yeah, there's definitely like a pressure to share more of this stuff.
But I mean, if you like the product, at the end of the day, like it's not like you're forcing sustainability into your home because of that.
Yeah,
it's that you actually like that product, and you see it's going to work.
Yeah, and definitely, and it's obviously show more people should be using it. I feel like sometimes I do feel like a bit of a guinea pig in some of the things that come out or are new, or that's the same thing, or become a trend, for example. And I feel there is a lot of pressure on influencers especially to kind of try these things out, which then makes them even more popular.
Yeah. Like, do you find things that don't work? Like, and do you say that? Like, do you say like, oh, like we've tried this, but like I wouldn't recommend it?
I mean, if there is something that I've given a go, or a trend that I really wanted to try but didn't actually end up, I would obviously say, like, it's not, I don't just, say everything's amazing. So yeah, there is, I guess, you kind of need to trust influencers as well to say if something's not right, or something's not working, or something's not worth the hype, I guess. De-influencing is a big trend over the last year as well. I wouldn't say there's anything that I can think of off the top of my head that I've had or done that's been like, actually, no, it's not worth it. But I guess that's probably influenced by other people having already sort of said, oh no, that's not a good one, or me doing like more research into it and thinking, oh, actually, I'm not going to do that one, but I'll try this. Yeah,
because I know obviously certain things will work for some people and some things will work for others. So, and I completely understand that. But as you say, like where with the sustainability thing, it's just nice to know that it's something that you want to do. Yeah. Because I find like with a trend, it might not be eco-friendly, like with all of the wall panellings. Like there are so many people that, they get rid of the...
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people taking them off now. I'm like...
Yeah.
You've not had it up very long.
I know, but then would you keep the stuff and then potentially reuse it? It's trying to sort of see if there's ways that that you can, as you say, like reuse things.
Yeah.
Because you have like that whole, basically it sounds like the whole shed worth of wood still.
Yeah.
But then you might use it for something else.
Yeah. I think people, especially influencers, need to, and I do feel like it's almost a duty to not encourage things that are too consumerism. That's not a word. Mm-hmm. too consumeristic. Is that the word? I don't know. No. I don't know. It could be a word.
Consumerist.
It sounds like it should be a word. Consumeristic.
It sounds like something that
consumerist. I don't know. But influencers should feel morally obliged, I guess, not to promote things that are too wasteful, like single-use products.
Yeah.
I actually found out yesterday, and I don't know whether it's everything in general or just posters, but there's very little or no VAT on things that you throw away.
Oh.
Like I was ordering some posters for something, and it was like, if you add artwork that needs to be kept, you've got to pay VAT on it, like a voucher code or something. But if it's literally just like a throwaway flyer, you don't pay VAT. And I'm just like, that is mad. That should be the other way around.
Yeah.
You should pay more if you have to throw it away. So I feel like influencers, especially in, the home space and the beauty, like literally any space, should feel a moral obligation to seek out the more sustainable options for things, and not, this is why I don't really like trends that come and go. Like paneling ones are great because they do last a long time. And paint trends, I mean, people can repaint their houses, even one room, like 6 times in the space of 4 months. Some influencers I've seen. I think that's very wasteful.
Yeah.
Like, yes, great paint. By the very nature, you can just paint over it if it goes wrong or if you don't like it. But that's so wasteful of paint.
Yeah.
And just trends like that are too of the moment. I try and pick and choose ones that I know will probably be here for a long time, like paneling. Whether it's slat paneling or whatever, it will be on trend for a long time. But there are obviously a lot of influencers that literally will just post things because they're trendy at the time, or do things because they're on trend. I'm like, what are you doing with that after?
Yeah.
And they've either thrown it away, given it away, or stored it. I'm like, but how long are you going to store that for? The trend might not come around for another 10 years. Or, you had it for like a month. Like that's not it's not responsible, I don't think.
Yeah, and I suppose as well, like if their followers are watching them and they're constantly changing one room, it must get pretty boring. Like as you say, like with your renovations, there's so much going on, and where you break it up, it's interesting. But to change one room constantly, it's
I think there's a lot of pressure on influencers to keep obviously producing content, and if they've not got plans to move or not plans to do anything big to their house, there's kind of nothing left to do but redecorate. And going with the trends and everything, they will have to just keep catching up or leading in some cases with those trends. So it might not be interesting, but at least it's like content, I guess.
Do you advise to like a certain style maybe because it will last, or if they're trying to sell a house, like do you advise do it this way because it's more
sellable?
Like it visually, like it's sellable.
I think with houses, especially when you're selling them, there's always the argument, am I decorating for the next person or am I decorating for myself? And I was very much of the mind when we were selling that our house is already quite neutral, so people can envision themselves being there. And actually, they've not changed a thing since we've moved. I've been back a couple of times to collect posts, and I'm looking in at the window like, oh, they've not changed anything.
That's nice though. Is it a good feeling?
Because I know like they liked it. I'm like, but ultimately, it's your house, And I don't think you should decorate for anyone but yourself. As much as the trolls, you know, would like you to decorate to suit everyone's tastes. Like, there are maximalists that will literally want, you know, like leopard print on the walls. And that's amazing. I could never be brave enough.
No, I don't think I could.
I like a neutral because it's safe. I really want to play with colour more, but I like the safety of things. And I think decorating to sell, unless you are fixing things that are very obvious that need to be fixed, or like, you know, caulking the crack along the stair risers, don't change it. Decrease the amount of stuff in the house, yes, because people need to see the space and its potential, not, you know, 17 bits of furniture in a small room. Like, they want to see that the space is there. But in terms of decorating, if you go into a house that you want to buy and you can't see past the colours on the wall, you need to like reevaluate what you're looking for in a house. I know a lot of people who kind of look at photos of really old houses that haven't been touched in like 30 years in terms of decorating. 30 years, like 70 years in terms of decorating.
I love Rightmove for that.
Yeah.
I love
like
it.
All the really classic wallpapers and the garish carpets and the clashing of the colours. If you can't see past that, like interiors might not be for you.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in like a harsh way. I just mean like when you're buying a house or selling a house, you need to see the space, the shell, the carcass of what you're buying, because you're not buying the stuff that's in it.
Yeah.
You're not buying the paint on the walls.
It's the space.
You're going to change it.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's worth wasting money trying to make your house like a white box just to appeal to people. If they don't like it with that paint, they don't like it.
Yeah.
Like they're just using the paint as an excuse. I try not to look at photos of houses. I just look at the floor plans and the sizes.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And then I look where they've put things. Like when I actually go, I'm like, okay, they've put the sofa here because maybe that makes the most logical sense. But I won't be like, oh, their interior choices were awful. Like that's only obviously an issue when you're living in it and you've got to change those things. But
you can change it.
It's paint or wallpaper. Like it can be stripped, it can be covered. There's no point trying to keep up with trends or neutrality, I guess. It's just wasteful, I think.
Well, let's dive into like your channel. You have obviously a lot of followers, and do you enjoy the response of like trying to inspire like people to DIY? Like, do you like let's talk about like that, like you know, we obviously want to encourage, you know, the youngsters going into DIY and the trades and things. Do you have that in mind when you put stuff out there? Do you have a lot of followers that would like to go into the trades? Do you have a lot of people message?
I'm seeing a lot more trade Instagram accounts, which is really cool. Because you get to see more into their daily lives. And there are, I think, 3 accounts that especially like show you how much something will cost. Like here's what a £25,000 garden will cost, and then you get to see where the money will go. And there are other accounts that just show their daily lives and how actually demanding some trades can be, all trades, I guess. Like I follow quite a few electricians, quite a few like labourers, plumbers, and I just like seeing that side of things. I think in another life I would have been a tradie had I discovered my love for this earlier, I guess. But there aren't obviously as many women accounts as there probably should be.
Yeah.
But there are lots more coming up. And so there's the statistic, I can never say statistics properly. Statistics of women in trades is like 1%. And that was, I think, last year that figure was out. So there needs to be obviously more, but it's more of like an age issue than a gender issue at the moment, I think.
How come?
of all the, when I think about trades, older men come to mind. Like all the ones I've hired in the past, apart from the last year, because I've found most of them on Instagram, but they've all been like older men. And you don't see that many youngsters, I guess. I say youngsters being anyone under the age of 30. Because I try to consider myself a youngster, even though I'm not under 30. Oh, that's really sad. Just remind myself how old I am. You don't see that many, I guess, younger millennials, Gen Z. You don't see many of them going into the trades. College isn't really spoken about much anymore. And I don't know why. I don't know whether it's because I am no longer of that age to discuss college. But even then, the people I knew who went to college were going for like hair and beauty. Never construction. From my year group, I don't know anyone in construction. A couple of years above, I don't know anyone in construction or any of the trades.
It's a small handful.
Yeah, but then I know a lot of people who probably would be better suited in the trades, like a very practical, hands-on people, and not sit behind a desk doing marketing. And I feel like with the age of social media, especially, younger generations are moving more towards, marketing, social media, like online
presence.
Yeah, online presence, like careers and stuff, and less practical. And I think that now with more trades going on social media and showing their day-to-day lives and actually how interesting and different and varied it can be.
And you can do both.
It's inspiring more people. So with my content, for example, with the majority of my followers being women or being either older, so I've got a lot that are older women who either are divorced or still single or their parent has died or something, saying, I'm following you because I have a need, like I need to learn this stuff to do myself. Then I've got a huge amount of like new homeowners, so millennials who are just buying their first homes or settling down to have a family and want to do up their own house. And then I've got a small amount of younger people who are kind of just, I guess, captured by a woman doing things, I guess. Because it is refreshing to see women doing this sort of stuff. And I think hopefully with the reach of the different generations will somehow hopefully inspire younger people to become involved in trades.
Yeah.
Because I would love to do this I do do it every day. But like when I was younger, I would have loved to do this every day. Just building stuff and making stuff and fixing things. Like that for me is very fulfilling, I guess, both for dopamine and just knowing that I'm actually doing something rather than just tapping away at a desk.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 1% needs to increase, not only for women, girls in general, but young people in general. I think a few years ago, and especially when I was at school, I didn't know that being a tradie as a woman was an option.
Yeah, it's not very advertised.
No one really talks about it. And it wasn't really until I started work, like I did DIY SOS last year as well as this year. And one of the guys that I was working alongside had just finished college as a carpenter. And I was talking to him about it and I was like, that sounds like so fun.
Yeah.
I would have loved to do that. But when I was, 17, 18, those sort of careers not only weren't really advertised in general, but definitely weren't advertised to girls. For me, it was like, you can either be a doctor or a lawyer, and go into TV, go into marketing. Like these are your options. I feel like schools have a responsibility to say, you don't have to be academic. You don't need to do these exams. You can go to college and do, academic and exams in practical things. There's a lot of Gen Z these days, especially who, you know, don't want to go to university. They want to start work now. And especially the workforce that need 20 years experience when you're 18. Like, that is the best industry to go in, to have practical hands-on experience at a young age, because you see so many like labourers who are really young and just like getting stuck in.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully the gender disparity will soon change with the more sort of people we see online representing it.
Yeah, I was going to say, through social media, where you say about the tradies having an account and you get to see what they're doing day to day, that hopefully will be an inspiration.
Yeah.
Because they're through like colleges. I mean, I remember that not even being an option.
Yeah.
Like, they had carpentry, but that wasn't even listed to me.
Yeah.
And now I think, well, why wasn't it?
Yeah.
But fingers crossed, like, colleges are doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, we try and, you know, speak to colleges to offer, you know, the products and say, like, look, like, have this. Like, we want the encouragement, and say, like, oh, like, you know, this could be something, not the product, but, you know, that could be, as you say, like electrician, plumber, carpenter, all of that. And it's nice to see, as you say, like, there's so much more now that are creating the account. They might only have a small following, but that one person can just make a huge difference. Going from, you know, trying to obviously inspire the younger generation, I know that you are working on a children's DIY book. So talk to me about that. Was that sort of to inspire, I mean, obviously inspire children, but like, talk to me about the book.
So I was actually putting it into a PDF document last night, because it's never actually been in a book format. Like, it's just been separate pictures, because I've had it illustrated and everything. It actually started off almost like a poem, I guess, to my son. He is very much like me. He is like my clone in every way but visually. Like, he is the visual clone of my husband, but he is me. He is hands-on. He is practical. He wants to fix things. He wants to take things apart. He wants to break things. But whenever something in the house needs fixing, needs looking at, whatever, he goes, "Mummy, fix it."
Oh,
"Mummy, fix it." I'm like, "Yeah, right." Never, you know, Daddy.
Does he like come with you? Like, does he watch and does he join in?
Yeah, he wants to get involved in everything I do.
Yeah.
Most of the time I don't kind of want him involved, because one, it'll slow me down, and two, like, it's more stressful having to, especially around power tools.
Yeah.
Having to be like, "No, you need to stand over there for a minute while I cut this." But then obviously I've got the element of like, I want you to learn how to do this and do it safely. So when I've got the drill out, he'll come. He helped me clear the space for his wardrobe the other day, and we were using my SDS to get up some gripper rods, because I didn't want him using a hammer in case he hit himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was doing that. He was using, with his hand on mine, a Stanley knife to cut the carpet. He uses pliers to get plugs out the wall. So he's very much like, he sees me doing it, and whenever this is going to sound really big-headed, whenever I'm watching my own content, or like editing it, for example, he'll be watching it over my shoulder on my phone, or when my husband's watching my content, because I make sure he's my number one fan.
Yeah. He's the first one to like, he's the first one to comment.
If he's not, we'll have words. So yeah, he's always seeing me doing something, whether it's like on our phones or actually in person. Obviously, because I do most of the stuff while he's at preschool. He is so involved in that. And I wanted to sort of do something that I guess represents that in a way. So yeah, it started off as a poem / I don't know what you'd call it. It kind of looks like it rhymes. So I'm calling it a poem. And I thought, you know what, this is make a really cute book. And I've not seen any. I try to make a point to buy books for him that are in construction DIY.
Yeah. Like
he's got a book that's called She Builds, and is all about the different roles people play in building a house. And it's obviously all women. And yeah, so he's got loads of books on this, but none of them, they all say like, "Daddy did this, Daddy did that." And all the shows you see are men with tools.
Yeah.
And all the branding, you see like adverts for brands and men using the tools. Although I actually saw a Cadent van the other day with a woman on the side. I was like, yes, progress.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We're getting there. And I was like, obviously that's not the case in my house. My husband does the cooking and the cleaning. I do the DIY and man stuff. And so I got it illustrated, and it was kind of never really intended it to be a book that I'd do anything with. I just wanted to make him a little book. And the illustrations are of me and him, like quite obviously they're me and him, and it's using his name. So, you know, I can't even remember any of the words off the top of my head. It's so annoying. It was like Theo never grew fast enough. It just wasn't fair. He couldn't get up onto the sofa, so Mummy built him a chair. Something along those lines. And obviously it's I then thought, okay, I will make it into a book. I'm going to make it a lift the flat book because my son loves those. Yeah. And it would show like a normal scene of him struggling or doing something. Like one of them is and they're all based on projects I've done as well, which makes it a little bit more exciting for me. It's him like trying to see up onto the kitchen counter, for example. I can't remember the lines, but the first scene shows him like trying to look onto the counter like this. I'm baking or something. And then you lift the flap and it shows me in my dungarees with the tool in hand, and I've just built something, and he's like, it's solved the problem. So it's like a learning tower, which I actually built for my nephew before my son was born. But let's pretend it was for Theo.
Yes. Is it still something that you've built?
I was half there. I bought him the stool for it. I just haven't built the frame. But yeah, they're all based on projects I've already done or are planning to do. Like a tree house is in it, and I'm planning on building a tree house. So yeah, it's all illustrated. It's all done. It's now in a PDF format for me to send, I don't know, to publishers, I guess. But yeah, the idea then, once I decided it was a book, was to show kids, I guess, that it's not just daddy that does these things. Mummy does them too. And especially in households where the mum does do everything and the dad does other things in the house, or they don't have a daddy, you know, just to make it more normal.
So that's sort of like a project going on. You've got your workshop that's going on. I mean, obviously, we've spoken about your list. We won't.
My very long list.
Yeah, we won't go through all of it.
Let's not shame me.
No. Sorry. I mean, obviously, I think it's just you've got so much going on, and as you say, like if one thing needs to be done before this and this and this. Obviously, we've spoken about a few little projects. You obviously got your garden one coming up as well, or you're working on, and like the parts of it. Is there anything else that is like coming up?
There's two projects that are rather pressing, and they are ripping out my downstairs toilet, shower room, and my utility, because earlier this year my brand new washing machine decided it wanted to just like pour water from the front of it.
Oh no.
And the new floor that I just put down in my utility, thankfully it's not ruined, like it was LVT, so it's, it's waterproof. But I had to lift it all up.
Yeah.
There's stud walls between that and the downstairs shower room, and I don't know the extent of the damage to that wall because it seeped under the wall.
Oh no.
Or through the wall. And yeah, the flooring in the downstairs toilet is just completely gone. So I can't actually rip up the rest of the flooring without taking out the toilet, and taking out the sink and the shower. So it kind of just needs to be gutted and done again. So that's kind of the next project,
I suppose.
I guess.
Is that had to come first now because of the situation?
I've got it. I mean, I've not really, other than soaking up the water, I've not done anything to make it nicer to live with. And I think that's the thing that's pushing me to do it quicker, because it's in such a state that I'm like, we can't live with this forever. So like that's after I finish the wardrobe in my son's room so that I can sign that room off, that will be like the next big thing. And I think it'll be quite exciting because I've not ripped a room back to its, other than on DIY SOS, I've not ripped a room back to its bare bones before. And I want to add in like a little niche in the shower and try and make it a wet room and learn how to do that.
Yeah.
Whilst not bringing the floor level up, you know. So there's
quite
going to be like some learning elements in there as well. And it's such a small, the shower room's so small. It's literally like 2.2 by 1.2.
Oh, okay.
So smaller than a sheet of MDF.
Yeah.
In size, it's long and thin. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how I can reconfigure, because it doesn't feel like the best configuration of the space either. So yeah, I keep trying to design it and then deciding, oh no, it's probably not the best idea. And yeah, I try and go into projects having designed it first, and then I'll just work out how to do it as I go along.
Okay. But then I suppose that's where, you know, you learn stuff, you learn new skills, and that's, you know, what's exciting.
Yeah.
And with yourself, Oh Abode, where do you see yourself? Like, what's the future for Oh Abode?
I don't know, you know. Like I had, obviously with my workshop, I had planned to have it as a space to make videos and do the sort of basics. So I was like the go-to person for every project, every like tool tutorial. And also, you know, have, I don't know, just use it as like a kind of like a filming studio to do projects like that. But I also wanted to open it up as a tool school. I actually own the trademark tool school, and hold workshops in my workshop and teach would-be women, because I don't know, I just feel like it's more appealing to women. Have them over and I'll teach them how to do like basic projects or how to use tools, or just hold like different classes, almost like a community hub to teach these skills that are lost in generations, because some people, because some people don't have someone in their family to have taught them, or they were always like the higher out kind of people. And then I kind of had the idea to bring in, I guess, guests to teach specific things. So I know people who make their own furniture, so I'd get them to come in and do like a class on furniture building, or I'd get like a local bricklayer to teach someone how to lay bricks, and just kind of do very specific courses for people who want to learn how to do it themselves. And that kind of snowballed into wanting to provide like youth clubs and get younger generations in, teaching them how to use the tools, and even like if they came in with their parents, or it was like a summer thing or something, to get them in and teach them how to like have these life skills that are invaluable basically, and also kind of give them a taste by getting those guests in, give them a taste of what it could be like to do it as a job. Kind of a bit like a college. I don't even know if I have a local college that does things like that where I live. Maybe the nearest one's like Hitchin or something. But yeah, to offer that as like a weekend thing, you know, like that was kind of the idea behind the workshop. Whether that will happen, I don't know, because I kind of go wherever the wind takes me. And go with what I need then and there. So yeah, we'll see. But hopefully, I mean, I'm a bit addicted to doing DIY SOS at the moment. Like I've done 2 now, and I'm like, right, when's the next one? That's not too far. Like they're doing one in Swansea at the moment. They're doing one up in Scotland, and I'm like, do one closer.
Well, are you able to travel with them?
I mean, I can go to any of them that I want to, really. I just do it on a volunteer basis. So I think they've got one in Leicester in February, and I'll probably do that one. So that would be free.
So how many have you done this year?
So I've one this year.
One
last year.
Yeah.
They've got like 12 more episodes to film.
Oh, wow.
Over the next year. So I'll be in there. I grew up watching that show, so it's like dreamy to be part of it. And that in itself is kind of like a learning experience, because you are literally in the deep end on a construction site, watching all these trades work alongside each other, chipping in, helping each other. And you're then able to either learn from them or help them, or in my case, take over, because I don't know why, I just do it. And then, at 3 a.m. in the morning being like, I'm getting progressively more stressed, so I'm going to get progressively more bossy.
Yeah, because it's one where it's like a 24-hour thing, isn't it?
Well, it's over, these were 8 days.
Oh, 8 days, okay.
And it's literally taking houses, or last year was a community centre, literally taking it back to nothing and building it up again, or building an extension, or doing all this
quite
stuff.
Intense.
Very intense work. Very, there are 13-hour days. I even did an all-nighter from 7 a.m. one morning to 1 p.m. the next day. Very labour intensive, and you learn so much, and the collaboration with all the different trades is really nice to see as well. And everyone has such respect for each other. There's obviously the general jokes that happen between trades anyway, but everyone knows that they're giving up their time, giving up their money, giving up their materials. And it would be a dream to be able to do that more.
Well, fingers crossed they'll have some more local ones that you can get into.
But it's not going to... The travel is not an issue. It's obviously if I have to do that every day or stay up there and stuff. But I just love it. It's literally what I feel like I was made for. That stress environment with my ADHD.
It's perfect.
Perfect. Match made in heaven. Let's get it done.
Yeah.
So yeah.
When's it being?
I don't know. It could literally any time next year.
Yeah.
The one we did last year was a Christmas episode. So we literally filmed in October and it was done in December. This one, I have no idea. I think because they've got so many to film.
Yeah.
It's hard to say which will actually be edited first, but
that would be good to see.
Really exciting.
You don't really see many of them DIY
programs anymore. No. There are more coming out. Well, there are more than there used to be. 90s was the best time for it.
Yeah.
60-second makeover. Stuff changing rooms. That came back briefly last year, then died a death. Hopefully that comes back. But I really want to see more shows like that.
Yeah, it'd be really good to see that.
Yeah, one of my dreams was to do a show like that. To go and go into someone's house that really needs help, whether they've been let down by a builder, or something's happened in their life that they can't finish what they need to, or they can't afford to, and do it for them and get people basically DIY SOS. But I feel like that's kind of grown to be big builds now. Whereas the original, I want another show to be like that.
Yeah.
Well, just to have more females representing on those sorts of shows, because there's just not enough.
Yeah, well, I think I've seen some of the photos from your DIY SOS, and you can see there's quite a few women that volunteer, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, on both builds there were quite a lot of women. There were maybe 5, I think, from memory. On this one, there were actually trades. A few more painter decorators, and all the cleaning team were women. But yeah, it'd be nice to see more in the nitty gritty trades. There was a young girl, I think her name was Lottie. She was one of the plasterers. And I was like, you're amazing. She's taking over her dad's business and everything, and she runs everything now. And I was like, you're amazing. We need more of you.
That's nice. It's really nice to see.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. Hopefully, showing that I've been on it as well. That I've volunteered my time, and that I can do all these different things on the show will hopefully, I guess, encourage more women to do that as well.
Well, I suppose if it's because you don't see DIY TV shows, when something like this comes up, but as you say, hopefully people will see people doing different trades. Yeah. And then it's almost right, okay, well, I could do that. Yeah. And
it's also a week of free work experience. Yeah. If I think they have to be 18, I think. But, if younger people want to get involved, they can literally just volunteer, and they can spend the week with any of the trades.
Yeah.
I know I did see like quite a few of them teaching people how to do things as well, or had brought their apprentice on with them and teaching them on the job.
Yeah.
And because it's such a high pressure, high like quick turnaround project, like they get to learn very, very quickly and know what it's like on a building site.
Oh, great.
I mean, it's not quite that stressful on a building site, I hear, but like, yeah,
that environment
it's a great environment to learn. And I think, hopefully that will encourage more people to just give up their time, because it's such a lovely community based thing as well. It's all local people, mostly local people, and everyone's just chipping in to do something good.
Yeah. Well, as I said, like in that environment, you've got all kinds of trades as well. So if you're going there with one skill, you might, learn something new.
Yeah.
But no, that's really, I'm definitely excited to see that, because I said, like, there is
I'll see you on the next one.
You don't want me on there. not at all.
You can be handing out plugs. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, really helpful.
It would be, honestly, the amount of time I spent.
I'll just be someone's bitch for the day. There you go. I'll be a tea lady. I can do that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Literally, there's a job for everyone on those builds. But yeah, there's definitely a shortage of materials, especially wall plugs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'll be like contacting you next time. Be like, can you send a load, please? Because we have none.
Well, the thing is,
we've had to go to Screwfix.
Yeah, because I think with these types of things that pop up, we do sort of say, like, if there is something like DIY SOS. I mean, from my point of view, I'd assumed everything would have been provided, but from like the show. But if it's something that you're all input in, then there's no harm
I think
in
pretty much
asking.
everything is, like, all materials, everything is donated from random brands. So.
Oh, that's good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, like, we don't really hear about it.
Yeah.
But it's only when someone like yourself or someone brings something up and it's like, oh, okay, well, let us know and we can send you some stuff.
Yeah, lots of opportunities there. There was a real shortage of materials compared to last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We had like 6 containers last year, and at the end of the build, because they weren't sure whether they were going to recommission it for the next year, they were just like, right, take your pick, take what you want. We're not going to need it. And this one, they're like, you cannot take anything because we need it.
Oh, really?
We've got 12 more to film.
Oh, no. Oh, do they not reach out to...
I think mostly they do.
Yeah.
But I don't know why they didn't have much this year. But yeah, definitely an opportunity for you guys
let us know. So what was the question again? If you could give one piece of advice to someone just starting out in DIY, what would it be?
Just to dive in.
Yeah.
Just give it a go. If you're really unsure, like, do as much research as you can. Find someone on YouTube, find someone on Instagram or TikTok, any of the platforms. Ask questions. No question is a silly question. And, you can borrow tools, you can hire tools, you can buy tools. There are a lot of companies out there that, like Speedy Hire, that type of thing, that will hire out tools or borrow it from a friend. And just ask the questions, do your research and just start. Because if you don't start, you're not going to make progress. Yeah. It's better to start something and not finish than to not start it at all, which I tell myself to reassure myself. Making myself excuses, not finishing projects. But you learn by doing. I know I do. Especially with things that are so hands-on and practical. If you don't make mistakes as well, then you're not learning. I always tell my followers that people in the trades, they didn't know everything when they first started. They have had years of training, of years of hands-on experience of making mistakes and learning from them. You're not going to be perfect first time. Don't expect to be. So I always say expect and accept failure, because it needs to happen for you to learn.
That's good. Yeah. I love that. That's really good advice.
So just and be easy on yourself. Don't expect it to look perfect first time as well. You use that as a way to, as a, you know, a starting point to do bigger, better projects, or even to go back and perfect it once you've had some time to think about how to fix it or how to make it better. You know, it's DIY. It's not supposed to be professional.
It's supposed to be creative.
Yeah. It allows you to be you. And if you've got, you know, if you've got the time, you can spend as much time on it as you want. So.
Sorry. Yeah, I know. We're going to be asking everyone this question to close the podcast, but we would like you to tell us a joke.
Oh God.
Just to put you
all
on
I
the
ever
spot.
know are like dad jokes.
Oh, perfect.
Because my husband's he's like way older than he is mentally. He loves a dad joke, and I've adopted a lot of them. What did the triangle say to the circle?
I don't know.
You're pointless.
Oh my God.
So
that
bad.
that is a dad
Such a
joke,
dad
isn't it? Well, thank you so much, Jasmine, for being on.
Thank you for having me.
It's been great to have you.
I apologise for waffling.
That's all
but
right.
That's what I do.
It's fine.
I can talk for England.
No, that's fine. I've loved it. I can't believe how long we've been chatting for.
I know.
I won't say how long because we may cut it down. But no, thank you so much.
No, most welcome.